Yeah, so working at Utrecht University in different courses. So I'm teaching in the Dutch curriculum, but also applied data science. And I wanted to highlight these two. They're both courses related to Corpora and both pretty pragmatically oriented. So they work with social media data, think of categorization into sentiment emotions, these kinds of tasks. And in Dutch, our students are doing, they're formulating their own research question. They can choose a corpus that is more on the literature side, but could also work with social media data. So that's kind of the context here. So the case in point here, of course, we have these LLMs and they offer powerful tools. So we want students to work with them, but we come across certain challenges and frictions, I'd say. So I'm going to highlight some examples here. First, for the text and media analytics, the thing is, we want students to apply natural language processing to these corpora that I mentioned. Of course, we're teaching them the regular NLP pipeline, but we also want them to know how to work with language models and fine-tune them on their data to compare to your more traditional machine learning. The main challenge here is, I don't know how it is in your university, but we don't have the GPU capacity to have a whole class of students. We have about 100, 25 per seminar section, to have them work with GPUs. So we are outsourcing this to Google Coda. It's a nice tool. They can work in a notebook, do their Python programming, and there is some GPU capacity with the stress on some. So basically what we do is this. In the seminar sections, we have these notebooks. We have our own storyline where we talk them through the matter. We give some examples, and then they get an assignment to work with it on their own. We also have a take-home exam where they can also work in Google Colab, have this notebook. And what we see there is we challenge students to try out different stuff. Students obviously want to get a good performance on a certain task, also trying out these transformer models. But then we get these emails. Students asking us, well, I'm trying out this and this, but Google says that I'm over the limit, so what should I do? And that's kind of a friction here, right? Because on the one hand, we want to teach students how to compare different things, evaluate, but also apply models in the best way that they can, but yet there's this hardware limit. So we're kind of thinking of how to best cope with this, and we definitely want to value that students do not have to use these transformers, and it's not only about the best performance in terms of your F1 score, but it's also about a good evaluation going into the data itself in a qualitative way. But this is a very prominent issue that we are facing now, and we'd rather have an infrastructure where we can have them work in a safe environment, where we know that everybody has the same GPU capacity and can do things within certain limits, but it's not stable. So sometimes they have the right hardware, they can do things, and sometimes it depends on the time of the day, it doesn't. And that's a strange thing to have in teaching. So that's more on the technical end of things. Now to the other course, it's called Corpora and Tools. We basically run students through all kinds of available corpora that they can use and tools that they can use to analyze it, from network analysis to sentiment or named entity recognition. In my part of the course, I'm teaching them your data and annotation, right? So how do you annotate in a proper way, intercoder agreements? But also there, I think it's important for them to know you have your large language model at your disposal. You can use it also for annotation. And then, of course, it's very important to have them do it in the right way. So I turned upon this nice hands-on paper by Turnberg, and he describes this procedure where they have to formulate a prompt in an informed way, but before even doing that, they have to have gone through this manual procedure. So they have their corpus, they annotate it, preferably also with a second human, and have some validated data. And then they start their prompting, where they can draw upon their annotated data as a couple of examples in the prompts, But then the outcome of the prompts, they again have to compare to the annotations that they as humans already have to see whether the LLM and the human annotation, the human interpretation aligns. As you can see in the figure, it's really a cycle. So when they see that the performance of the LLM is not really on par with the human performance, human interpretation, they have to go back to the drawing table, make their prompt better fit, and see whether it gets better. And if it gets to a point where they're satisfied, they have to again compare it to this held out test set from their human annotations to see whether it generalizes to new data. And that can be assigned to, for example, scale up and have the LLM annotate our whole corpus. So that's basically how we approach them to do it in a proper way. But here's again a friction. So we're in the Dutch course. These are totally different students than the data science students. These are students that feel sometimes reluctant. So if I ask them, well, there are these large language models, you can just log in to Cloud or to ChatGPT. There are students that feel uncomfortable with it, simply logging in, having their account there. And I think that's a valid point. We need to respect this view of the students. So again, we get into this infrastructural question. You really want to have a safe environment for them where they know that whatever they converse with the LLM is in a safe server. Maybe also there is some respect for the environment, that it doesn't cost too much electricity. We're not there yet. So we're now at the stage in science, I think, where we have to use what is there because it's simply powerful for the research. But we want to get to some point that as universities and maybe broader, we have a better ground there. Well, this is an example of the prompt that I give them, but that's basically the takeaway that I wanted to share today.